Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Asto Tada Satashri Srimad, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 58. Krishna marries 5 princesses. And today we're on text 4. Before reading text 4, just want to read the first 3 texts of the chapter, so we just know the flow a little bit. I know everyone's been listening, but just to kind of remember the flow. So, text 1, translation. Shukadev Goswami said, once the supremely opulent personality of Godhead went to Indraprastha to visit the Pandavas, who had again appeared in public. Accompanying the Lord were Yuyudhana and other associates. When the Pandavas saw that Lord Mukunda had arrived, those heroic sons of Pritha all stood up at once, like the senses responding to the return of the life air. The heroes embraced Lord Achyuta, and the touch of his body freed them of sin. Looking at his affectionate, smiling face, they were overwhelmed with joy. So what did they do when they saw Krishna coming? They all stood up. They felt like their senses had returned, life air had returned. And what did they do? They embraced Krishna. And just the touch of his body freed them from sin, and seeing his face made them so joyful. So just visualize this, how they stood up and they just went to embrace Krishna. And now this next text is going to be a little different mood. We'll see what happens in this next text, text 4. Yudhishthirasya bhimasya kritva pada bhivandanam phalgunam parirabhyata Yamabhyam chabhivanditaha Yudhishthirasya bhimasya Kritva pada bhivandanam Phalgunam parirabhyata Yamabhyam chabhivanditaha. What is? Yudhishthirasya bhimasya Abhyam chabhivanditaha Yudhishthirasya bhimasya Yudhishthirasya bhimasya Kritva pada bhivandanam Yudhishthirasya Bhimasya to Yudhishthir and Bhima. Kritva, after offering. Pada, at their feet. Abhivandanam, obeisances. Phalgunam, Arjuna. Parirabhya, firmly embracing. Ata, then. Yamabhyam, by the twin brothers Nakul and Sahadev. Cha, and Abhivanditaha, greeted respectfully. Translation. After the Lord bowed down at the feet of Yudhishthira and Bhima and firmly embraced Arjuna, he accepted obeisances from the twin brothers Nakula and Sahadev. Please repeat. After the Lord bowed down at the feet of Yudhishthira and Bhima and firmly embraced Arjuna, he accepted obeisances from the twin brothers Nakula and Sahadev. Purport by the followers of his, or by the disciples of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Externally, Krishna was the Pandavas' cousin, and their relationship was just like that between cousin brothers. Because Yudhishthira and Bhima were externally senior to Krishna, the Lord bowed down at their feet, whereas he embraced his peer Arjuna and accepted obeisances from the younger brothers Nakula and Sahadev. Sometimes inexperienced devotees think it is sinful to honor or bow down to an elder brother in Krishna consciousness, but from Lord Krishna's example here, we may conclude that offering all respects to a senior brother in Krishna consciousness is not sinful. And the commentaries, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, the twins offered obeisances while Krishna stood. And Rajiva Goswami says, out of bliss, both parties forgot proper etiquette. So in the previous verses, because of bliss, they forgot proper etiquette. They just all embraced each other, right? So then they carefully performed the welcome. So after that spontaneous greeting in the previous verse, now they're doing the proper welcome, proper way with the etiquette. So Krishna embraced Arjuna and was offered respects by Nakula and Sahadev. This means they touched their heads to Krishna's feet. Another version has Abhivaditaha. Krishna was born in Rohini constellation and Arjuna was born in Falguna constellation. By birth, Krishna was thus older. However, their great friendship was the cause of treating each other as equals. And Sanatana Goswami, in the confusion of prema, they could only embrace and were unable to give blessings. That's from the previous verse. Or seeing that they did not do the formalities out of shyness to teach the public, he personally acted according to etiquette. Krishna personally acted according to etiquette. Because also the public is there, and to show the proper etiquette, he's doing this. So he bowed to the feet of Yudhishthira, then he embraced Arjuna, not with the same great affection as previously. So, Oma Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Jai Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyashcha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Te Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Desha Tarini. So here we're seeing two different moods. One mood is the spontaneous, informal mood that Krishna has with his devotees. And the other mood is the formal mood where Krishna is trying to teach by example to the world. And so Krishna enjoys rasa with his devotees. He loves to have sweet exchanges with his devotees, intimate devotees. And when he comes to this world, he shows those sweet relationships so that we get attracted to entering into that also. At the same time, Krishna also shows by his example how we should act in this world. So both things are going on at the same time. Krishna's showing that spontaneous love with his devotees. At the same time, he's setting the example for the world, right? So these two things, talking a little bit about those two aspects. So the first one is about Krishna setting the example. So here, Krishna is setting the example of the proper etiquette of relationships between people. And when Dhruva Maharaj went to the forest, Narada Muni came to speak to him and give him some advice. And one of the advices that Narada Muni gave to Dhruva was about this etiquette, about treating the different types of people in our lives. And Narada Muni says to Dhruva, every man should act like this. When he meets a person more qualified than himself, he should be very pleased. When he meets someone less qualified than himself, he should be compassionate toward him. And when he meets someone equal to himself, he should make friendship with him. In this way, one is never affected by the threefold miseries of this material world. And Prabhupada says in the purport, generally when we find someone more qualified than ourselves, what's the natural tendency when we see someone more qualified? Envy. We become envious of him. And when we find someone less qualified, what usually happens? Yes, we deride him. And when we see someone equal, then we become very proud of our activities. These are the causes of all material tribulations, Prabhupada says. The great sage Narada therefore advised that a devotee should act perfectly. Instead of being envious of a more qualified man, one should be jolly to receive him. Instead of being oppressive to a less qualified man, one should be compassionate toward him, just to raise him to the proper standard. And when one meets an equal, instead of being proud of one's activities before him, one should treat him as a friend. One should also have compassion for the people in general who are suffering due to forgetfulness of Krishna. These important functions will make one happy within this material world. So Prabhupada is saying here that it's important. These things are not just something, we don't need to follow it. It's important to follow this etiquette because it'll bring happiness in this material world and in our spiritual lives when we show respect for those who are more qualified than us. We show friendship and love to our peers, and we show compassion to those and try to help those who are maybe less qualified than ourselves. Of course, we should always feel humble and not think that, but somebody who needs the help, we should try to help them. And then another example I was thinking about is when Vidura left home, when Duryodhana insulted him, Vidura went on pilgrimage, and he was traveling to all the holy places, and he met Uddhava. And when he saw Uddhava, he was so happy. He asked, how is Krishna and all the Yadus? And Uddhava told him that Krishna left the planet, but Krishna had given him instructions, very valuable instructions. And Vidura said, can you please teach those to me? You were there when Krishna departed. Please, you impart those instructions to me. And Uddhava said, better you ask Maitreya, because Maitreya is older. You are elder than me, and if I instruct you, it's not the proper etiquette. You better go to Maitreya. Maitreya was also there when Krishna departed. And in the purport, Prabhupada says, this is from 3:4:26. Prabhupada says, Vidura wanted to accept Uddhava as a spiritual master, but Uddhava did not accept the post because Vidura was as old as Uddhava's father. And therefore, Uddhava could not accept him as his disciple, especially when Maitreya was present nearby. The rule is that in the presence of a higher personality, one should not be very eager to impart instructions, even if one is competent and well-versed. So Uddhava decided to send an elderly person like Vidura to Maitreya, another elderly person. But he was well-versed also because he was directly instructed by the Lord while he was about to quit this material world. Since both Uddhava and Maitreya were directly instructed by the Lord, both had the authority to become the spiritual master of Vidura or anyone else. But Maitreya, being elderly, had the first claim to becoming the spiritual master, especially for Vidura, who was much older than Uddhava. One should not be eager to become a spiritual master cheaply for the sake of profit and fame, but should become a spiritual master only for the service of the Lord. The Lord never tolerates the impertinence of Maryada Vyatikrama. Maryada Vyatikrama means breaking the etiquette, or, one should never pass over the honor due to an elderly spiritual master in the interests of one's own personal gain and fame. Impertinence on the part of the pseudo-spiritual master is very risky to progressive spiritual realization. So here we have the guidelines that we can follow, how to show respect to those who are more experienced, who are more advanced, and not to be eager to share our, to instruct others in front of those devotees. Of course, in certain situations when we're asked to, like now, we're asked to, then we do it as a service, and we seek the blessings of the Vaishnavas who are more advanced. But the general principle is one of the devotees very, very humble and never thinks that, I have knowledge and I can impart it, but only does it in a mood of service. And if there is somebody who has a senior or a more experience or more qualification, then we guide people to those personalities to instruct. So in this way, Krishna is in giving us very good guidelines for our life, and it's important to follow these etiquettes, even though it may, in the Western culture, people don't have much etiquette like that. It's more just everyone's equal, right? Just anything goes in this Western culture. But in the spiritual culture, it's very refined and very everything, every word, every action is very, very meaningful, and so there's a lot of respect, and that's very, very important. For elders, for the experienced, for the superiors, there's a lot of respect. And that's, in that way, we actually get a lot of blessings when we have that respect. So here, Krishna is offering his obeisances to Yudhishthira and Bhima, who are maybe just a little bit older than Krishna, and he's embracing Arjuna, and Nakula and Sahadev are offering their obeisances to Krishna. So Krishna, he sets an example, especially in his Dwarka Leela, he sets an example for us to follow. There's a chapter in Bhagavatam that's called Krishna's daily activities in Dwarka. And in that chapter, and in the Krishna book also, in the Krishna book, Srila Prabhupada writes in that chapter that we should clearly note the activities of the Lord should be followed, but they cannot be imitated. For example, Krishna's ideal life as a householder can be followed, but if one wants to imitate Krishna by expanding into many forms, that is not possible. We should always remember, therefore, that Lord Krishna, although playing the part of a human being, simultaneously maintains the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We can follow Krishna's dealings with his wives as an ordinary human being, but his dealings with more than 16,000 wives at one time cannot be imitated. The conclusion is that one has to become ideal householders. We should follow in the footsteps of Lord Krishna as he displayed his daily activities, but we cannot imitate him at any stage of our life. So then it goes on to describe that Krishna would wake up during Brahma Muhurta, 3 hours before sunrise. And Rukmini Devi was not very pleased when the rooster would crow. She's like, oh, Brahma Muhurta. She didn't like that, because then Krishna would just immediately, he would get out of bed and he would do his activities. He would rinse his mouth, hands and feet. He would sit down and he would meditate. And he would meditate on himself because he is the Lord. And Prabhupada says, of course, that means that we should meditate on ourselves. We should meditate on Radha and Krishna. But in this way, and then Krishna would worship his superiors, offers obeisances to his fathers and mothers. Then he would offer charity to the brahmanas. He would give, like in that compassionate mood, he was also giving gifts to the lower classes also that were there in the city. In this way, Krishna was setting an example of a perfect grihastha life. And in another part of Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, when Krishna was coming from Hastinapur back to Dwarka, he would stop in different places, and every day, like on his way, on his journey, he would do, even though he was traveling, he would still do his daily regular rites or rituals or things that are necessary to do every day. And in that purport, 110.36, Srila Prabhupada says that Krishna does not depend on any action, good or bad work. The Lord is absolute. Everything done by him is good for everyone. But when he descends to the earth, he acts for the protection of the devotees and for the annihilation of the impious non-devotees. Although he has no obligatory duty, still he does everything so that others may follow. That is the way of factual teaching. One must act properly himself and teach the same to others. Otherwise, no one will accept one's blind teaching. He is himself the awarder of fruit of results. He is self-sufficient, and yet he acts according to the rules of the revealed scriptures in order to teach us the process. If he does not do so, the common man may go wrong. But in the advanced stage, when one can understand the transcendental nature of the Lord, one does not try to imitate him. This is not possible. And then Prabhupada says, the Lord in human society does what is the duty of everyone, but sometimes he does something extraordinary and not to be imitated by the living entity. His acts of evening prayer, as stated herein, must be followed by the living being, but it's not possible to follow his mountain lifting or dancing with the gopis. One cannot imitate the sun, which can exhaust water even from a filthy place. The most powerful can do something which is all good, but our imitation of such acts will put us into endless difficulty. Therefore, in all actions, the experienced guide, the spiritual master, who is the manifested mercy of the Lord, should always be consulted, and the path of progress will be assured. So some acts of Krishna, like doing his daily sadhana and his activities, we follow that. Some acts of Krishna, we definitely don't follow, right? Like dancing with the gopis, lifting Govardhan, stealing butter, all those activities, that's his leela. So how do we know what to follow, what not to follow? And Prabhupada is saying here, we go to an experienced guide, the spiritual master. He will guide us. Like what is the right way, what should be followed and not to be imitated about Krishna. So we just talked all about Krishna setting the example for the world, and how do we know follow this example but not imitate, and how do we know? By approaching a spiritual master. Now on the other side, Krishna comes to show his sweet, loving dealings with his devotees. And Krishna has different personalities to exhibit different levels of intimacy with his devotees. And this is very much brought out in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, how Gopakumar is going from place to place, and he's meeting the Lord, same Supreme Lord, but in different features. And each time, it goes a little bit more intimate, a little bit more intimate, a little bit more intimate. And the most intimate is Krishna and Vrindavan. It's Krishna and Vrindavan, it's like him at home. It's like just like any person, the same, Prabhupada gives the example. The President of the United States, in the office, he's very formal, everyone treats him with respect. Then it gets a little bit more informal when he's with his friends, then more informal when he's at home, and like that, it gets more and more. So Krishna at home is Vrindavan. So that's so special. To go to Vrindavan is, it's not an ordinary thing, because that's the most intimate place where Krishna has his most intimate dealings with his devotees. So that's why when we enter Vrindavan, we pray to the 5 gatekeepers of Vrindavan for entrance, because it's not just by buying a ticket that you can enter into Vrindavan. So we pray to the dust of Vrindavan, Rajrenu. Like when we get out of the taxi, first thing we do, offer obeisances, touch the dust to our head. Then we offer obeisances to Gopeshwar Mahadev, who's the gatekeeper of the Dham. He doesn't allow anybody to enter. Then we offer obeisances to Vrinda Devi, Purnamasi. who arranges all the pastimes for Krishna, Tulsi Maharani. Then we offer obeisances to Govardhan Hill, who's the most intimate devotee of Krishna, and also Krishna himself, and in the most merciful form. And then we offer obeisances to Jamuna River, the Jamuna. It's also one of the gatekeepers. And additionally for us, we offer obeisances to Srila Prabhupada, because Srila Prabhupada, without Srila Prabhupada's mercy, we would not have access to the most intimate, this Sri Vrindavan Dham. Srila Prabhupada actually left Sri Vrindavan Dham to come to the world to show us what is that sweetness and try to bring us back to Vrindavan. So that's the glory of Sri Vrindavan. So I was just meditating on this because by Prabhupada's mercy, recently we were in Sri Vrindavan Dham, and it's always a very transformative experience. And the more that this time my prayer this visit was like, please help me to be in a humble, grateful mood of service every step of the way, every moment while I'm there. Because as soon as pride enters or the mood of entitlement, then we start to see, all of a sudden, the real nature of the Dham, we'll just see the externals. We won't see the essence of the Dham. So, and interestingly, the first day I was there, the first class was Bhakti Vigyana Maharaj, and he was speaking about humility. And there's deep rooted pride in our heart that we can't even see. It's like a very subtle, deep pride, and we need to pray to the spiritual master and be in that mood of service. Then we can really enter in Sri Vrindavan Dham. Humility is equal to prema, actually. The more dainya, humility is there, the more we get love for Krishna. So they go together, side by side. So Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Gopakumar is going through his journey. And first he goes to Vaikuntha, and he sees the Lord reclining there. Interestingly, in our visit to India this time, every time we go to India, we go to the Dham, then we go to visit relatives. They live in Bangalore. And then we go back to the Dham, so we have a sandwich. At least at the beginning and end, we have the spiritual experience. In the middle, we have to do the duty with the family. But in those 10 days we were in Bangalore, we took a trip to Sri Rangam. So that's, has anyone here been to Sri Rangam before? You been there? Yes. So it was an 8-hour drive to Tamil Nadu, and it was an amazing experience because Lord Chaitanya stayed there for 4 months in the rainy season in the house of Venkata Bhatta. And Gopal Bhatta was a little boy and was serving Lord Chaitanya. And you can go to the house where Lord Chaitanya was staying. You can see his they established his footprints there, a Gaudiya Ma temple, little temples there where Lord Chaitanya's footprints. And you can even see small deities of Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra that Lord Chaitanya himself personally carved. This there in the house of Venkata Bhatta. And the temple of Sri Rangam, it's amazing. It's like, it's a replica of Vaikuntha, how Vaikuntha has the 7 gates. And they have these gopurams, which are like amazingly intricately designed. You probably have seen those, like intricately designed structures, and they're huge. And each time and it's on 4 sides. So you can go through the north gate, you could go through the east gate, south gate, whatever gate you would like, and you slowly go in further. It's like concentric. It's like in the middle is Sri Ranganath, right, the Lord, and then the gates kind of go out like this, like in a circle, like on 4 sides, like a square, I guess, like that. So the outer gates are really big, and then you go in, it gets a little smaller, and then and inside there's a lot of space between each gate. So within that there's like shops or little temples, and then you go in more. It's huge. It's a huge, vast area. So then when you get in closer and closer and closer, and then you can get darshan, when you actually get very close, the inner chamber is like, you walk in and you have to walk out there because it's such a long line. You only get like maybe 10 seconds to see the Lord, and they push you out. And when I first went in there, I saw that they have and the first thing you see is a murti of Vishnu standing. He's like a kind of, I think, a brass murti in Lakshmi. There's two, Bu and Shri. Lakshmi Devi and Bu and Shri are there. And they're small. And that's the first thing you think you see the Lord. And then you have to look behind. And the actual murti of Sri Ranganath is lying. He's a black marble deity. Lord Vishnu lying on Ananta Shesha. And he's huge. And he has, his feet. If you can hardly in one darshan, like we went 3 times, hardly in one darshan you can see his whole, because you get such a short time. But it's his feet to his head to the Ananta Shesha, and next to him is, then there's Lakshmi Devi, and it's amazing. But when I just saw the small murti, and then by Krishna's mercy, I looked up and I saw his face, big, and his piercing, beautiful eyes, feel like he was really looking directly at you. And it was just incredible experience, like a kind of overwhelming experience to see that. But the mood there in Srirangam was just awe and reverence. For Mangalarti, you know what they do? They bring an elephant, a horse, and a cow. So the first thing Sri Ranganath sees when they open the curtain is these auspicious animals, completely white horse, a black cow. They show the back of the cow, so it's auspicious, and then an elephant. So you know how we blow the conch? The elephant trumpets. Ooh, that's how the conch. And we were there. Luckily, we were able. 2 times we went to Mangalarti. Only the first 100 people who come get to see this scene. But we were there near the front, and we saw the elephant trumpeting. And everyone shouts, Jai, they say Govinda, 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 and the elephant is trumpeting, and then the elephant offers obeisances. And the elephant is beautifully decorated with chandan and like all this, and everyone's like cheering, and then the elephant leaves. It's like a whole, and then there's drums, and it's very awe and reverent, right? And then Vishnu's lying there, and everyone has darshan, and so that's kind of what Gopakumara, when he came to Vaikuntha, when he saw the Lord, it was awe and reverence, and Gopakumara just wanted to embrace him, and he ran, and all the servants held him back. No, that's not the way you treat Lord Vishnu. And Gopakumara felt such pain in his heart. And Vishnu spoke to him very sweetly, and he stayed there, and he was playing his flute for the Lord, and at one point, after being trained, he got to fan the Lord, but that's as far as intimacy he got with the Lord, right? It was just, he got to fan him once in a while and play his flute for him. And then when it was time to close the curtains, when Lakshmi Devi said, okay, everyone leave, he had to leave. So it was very official, right? Then next, Gopakumar went to Ayodhya. In Ayodhya, he saw Lord Ramachandra sitting there with a bow and arrow, and he's Maryada Purushottama. He's the one who sets all these standards, and nothing, he doesn't violate any of the etiquettes. He's, if you talk about etiquette, Lord Ramachandra comes to mind, and everyone was worshipping him. But there was a little bit more sweetness than Lord Vishnu, because Ramachandra has 2 arms. He has a very sweet, beautiful form, but he also has that regal nature. And so Gopakumar wasn't completely satisfied there. Then finally Narada Muni said, go to Dwarka. So then he went to Dwarka, and there he saw the Lord. Again, he saw the Lord sitting on the throne, and next to him is Uddhava, Satyaki. He saw in front of the Lord was Ugrasena. And the Lord again was showing the etiquette, offering obeisances to his superiors, and but there was a little bit even more intimacy than Lord Ramachandra. And when Lord Dwarkadish saw Gopakumara, he said, come. And he took Gopakumara's head and put his head on his lotus feet. So that was more intimate. Vaikuntha, the Lord of Vaikuntha didn't do that. Ramachandra didn't do that. So it was a little bit more intimate, right? But still, not as intimate as we'll see in Vrindavan. But he put Gopakumara's head on his feet, and then he said, oh, and how is everything going? And then he saw Gopakumara had a flute. And as soon as the Lord saw the flute, he remembered his Vrindavan pastimes, and he went into ecstasy. And Uddhava said, it's not the right place because all these people are here. Let's go to the inner chamber. So Dwarka, there Gopakumar still didn't feel completely satisfied. He was missing just embracing the Lord, that freedom and that, that exchange. And finally, Narada Muni says, you need to go to Goloka Vrindavan. And when he gets to Goloka Vrindavan, that's where he sees Krishna and Balaram coming with the cows, and Krishna comes and they just run and embrace each other. And both of them are in so much ecstasy, they both faint. And everyone is thinking, why? What happened to Krishna? Maybe this is a demon. And Balaram comes and, revives Krishna by putting Gopakumar's arm around his neck. And Krishna and he embraces his friend Gopakumar, and together they go to the palace, and there's such a sweet intimacy between Krishna and Gopakumar. So this is the rasa that Krishna came to teach. He's teaching the rules and regulations, especially in the Dwarka form, like here he's in the mood, but then also in the Vrindavan mood, it's just all intimacy and all love and all just sweet exchanges between devotees. In Govardhan, when we were in Govardhan, Burijan Prabhu was speaking on one of the chapters of Bhagavatam, which is wonderful Krishna. And all the coward men are saying to Nanda Maharaj, who is this boy of yours? He's so amazing. And Nanda Maharaj said, yeah, Gargamuni said all of these things about him, but he's just our relative, he's just our friend. So no matter how much they knew of Krishna's glories, it didn't increase their love or decrease their love. It's just like an ocean, Burijan Prabhu said. The ocean always stays steady. It's not like a lot of sun dries it up and a lot of rain makes it increase. So seeing Krishna's opulence didn't disturb their love in any way. And their love for Krishna is so great that if we focus on that love, Burijan Prabhu said, if we focus on that love of the Vrajavasis, one day, from that eagerness to attain that, then we can also, by following in the footsteps of the Vrajavasis, we can enter into Vrindavan also. So there's so much to say, but would anyone like to add anything? Like any thoughts or anything would like to? So. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shishi Radha Golokananda ki jai. The what? Aditi was driving. He's very good now.
Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandar Ako Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakalen Priya Priti Manti Vasyan Vipan Vikayanti Jiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
This is page 54. Navaniradanindita kanti dharam rasasagara nagara bhupavaram navaniradanindita kanti dharam rasasagara nagara bhupavaram Shubhavam kimacharushikandashikam bhaja Krishna nidhim vrajarajasutam Shubhavam kimacharushikandashikam bhaja Krishna nidhim vrajarajasutam Bhruvi Shankitavankima Shakrudhanum Mukachandra Vinindita Koti Vidum Bhruvi Shankitavankima Shakrudhanum Mukachandra Vinindita Koti Vidum Mridhu mandasuhasya subhasya yutam bhaja Krishna nidhim vrajarajasutam Mridhu mandasuhasya subhasya yutam bhaja Krishna nidhim vrajarajasutam Suvikam padananga sadangadaram Vrajavasi manohara veshakaram Suvikam padananga sadangadaram Vrajavasi manohara veshakaram Vrishalanchita nila saroja drisham bhaja Krishna nidhim vrajarajasutam Vrishalanchita nila saroja drisham bhaja Krishna nidhim Alakavali mandita bhalatatam Shruti dolita makara kundalakam Kavali bhalatatam Shruti dolita makara kundalakam Kati veshita pita padam sudatam Bhaja Krishna nidhim vrajarajasutam Veshtita pita padam Bhaja Krishna nidhim vrajarajasutam Kalanupura rajita charupadam Maniranjita ganjita bringa madham Kalanupura Dvajavat Raja Sankita Padayugam Bhaja Krishna nidhim Vrajarajasutam Raja Sankita Vrisha-chandana charchita charutanum Manikostubagarhita bhanutanum Dana Chita charutanum Braja Bala Shiromani Rupadritam Bhaja Krishna Nidem Braja Raja Sutam Mani Rupadritam Bhaja Krishna Nidem Braja Raja Sutam Sura Vrinda Subandhya Mukunda Harim Suranata Shiromani Sarva Gurum Kunda Harim Suranata Shiromani Giridhari Murari Purari Param Bhaja Krishna Nidem Braja Raja Sutam Giridhari Murari Bhaja Krishna Nidem Braja Vrishabhanusuta Varakeri Param Rasaraja Shiromani Veshadharam Suta Varakeri Param Rasaraja Shiromani Veshadharam Jagarishwaramishwaramidhyavaram Bhaja Krishna Nidhim Braja Raja Sutam Shwaram Ishyabaram Bhaja Krishna Nidhim Braja Raja Sutam Navaniradhanendita Kanti Dharam Rasa Sagara Nagara Bhupavaram Niradhanendita Kanti Dharam Rasa Sagara Nagara Bhupavaram Shubhavam Kimacharushikandashikam Bhaja Krishna Nidhim Braja Raja Sutam Shubhavam Kimacharushikanda Bhaja Krishna Nidhim Braja Raja Bhaja Krishna Nidhim Braja Raja Sutam Bhaja Krishna Nidhim Braja Raja Sutam Bhaja Krishna Nidhim Braja Raja Sutam Krishna Nidhim Braja Raja Sutam Jaya Radha Golokananda Radha Golokananda Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Golokananda Radha Golokananda Shri Radhe Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Shri Radha Golokananda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. He whose complexion conquers that of a fresh new rain cloud, who is the king of paramours and the ocean of ecstatic mellows, whose crown is adorned with a lovely peacock feather auspiciously tilted to one side, just worship Krishna, the abode of all, Raja's prince. He whose broadly bending eyebrows appear like the arched rainbow, whose pure moon-like face belittles millions of ordinary moons, who is endowed with sweet gentle smiles and pleasant speech, just worship Krishna, the abode of all, Raja's prince. He whose divine bodily limbs tremble profusely with Cupid's agitations, who dresses enchantingly only to fascinate the residents of Raja, who is decorated with extraordinary eyes like blue lotus blossoms, just worship Krishna, the abode of all, Raja's prince. He whose forehead is encircled by wavy locks, whose ears are embellished with swaying shark-shaped earrings, who is adorned with yellow silk embracing his charming hips, just worship Krishna, the abode of all, Raja's prince. He whose beautiful feet resound with softly tinkling ankle bells that maddens all the bees with the vibration of swinging gemstones, whose souls are marked with the flag, thunderbolt, fish, and so on. Just worship Krishna, the abode of all, Raja's prince. He whose graceful form is smeared with profuse sandalwood paste, whose body glows with the sun-eclipsing Kaustuba gem, whose personal beauty represents the zenith of Raja's youths. Just worship Krishna, the abode of all, Raja's prince. He who is the giver of liberation, Mukunda and Hari, worshipable for all demigods and sages, who is the crest jewel of all lords and the spiritual master of all, who is the lifter of the Govardhan hill, the enemy of demon Mura, and more exalted even than Lord Shiva, just worship Krishna, the abode of all, Raja's prince. He who sports only with the daughter of Rishabhanu, who dresses impeccably as a topmost relisher of transcendental mellows, who is the most praiseworthy Lord of lords in the entire universe, just worship Krishna, the abode of all, Raja's prince. Shri Vrajaraja Sutastakam ki jai, Shri Radha Golokananda ki jai. Parade, we'll start to decorate the cart at 12 o'clock, and the parade starts at 1:30. Yeah. It's in the afternoon, yeah. Yes, we'll send the information out, where to meet, 12, and the parade starts at 1:30. We're actually near the end, though, so we're number 84. I think there's only one other person who's behind us, so we're almost at the very end of the parade. So we'll probably be entering the parade much later than 1:30. Maybe, I don't know what time, but could be later. Yeah. Oops.
Chaitodarpanam arjanam bhavamani nirvapanam Shriyakkairavya chandrika vitaranam Anujivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratidamam Pranam read this, okay. Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Kirtanam Nam Namakari Bahudani Jasarva Shakti Tatrapitani Amita Smaranena Kala Etadrishita Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaiva Midrishami Hajjani Nanuraga Trinadapi Sunichena Tororapi Suhishuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Va Jagadisha Kamaye Mama Janmani Ishvare Bhavatad Bhaktir Hoitaki Twai Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam mam vishame bhavam buddha, kripaya tavapada pankaja, stita duli sadrashim vachintaya, nayanam gadashu daraya, varanam gadgadaridaya gira, pulakarnishitam vapukada, tavanamagrahane bhavishyati, yugayatam nimishena, chakshusha pravashayatam, Shunayatam jagat sarvam govindam virahename ashlishya padamratam panastumam adarshanam marma hatakarotuva yatatatava vidadatu lampato mat prananatastusa eva napara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It